What up, fam? It's your girl, Vita. Hey, how you doing? So I'm like trying to figure out this whole like YouTube live like video thing. Because I actually prefer live videos. They feel a little bit more like having a conversation than just like talking to somebody. But I really suck at this like technology stuff. So this will probably never be like a high budget operation where I have all these like really cute videos with like all these cool graphics and like, like these interesting like cuts to like different parts of the video, because like I really suck at this shit. So it'll probably always be me just turning on my camera and talking. But I kind of wanted to do a live video too, because like sometimes like uploading is just a pain in the ass. Anyways, whatever. That's not what you clicked on the link to listen to. So dealing with rejection. So I'm in a lot of poly groups online, and one of the poly groups that I'm in that I'm most active in, we have this whole conversation about the nice guy and how nice guys finish last and all that shit like that. And that's a whole nother video about the whole nice guy rhetoric. But one of the guys got super triggered by the discussion and began to center it around rejection and how rejection hurts, and guys don't know how to deal with rejection, and women are better equipped to deal with rejection than men are. Okay, look at my face right now. Don't nobody want to hear that shit. But anyways, and he was just talking about, he literally posted a link about how rejection gives you gas. Like, I'm not even joking. I wish I was joking, y'all, but I'm not. Something about like rejection gives you gas and it like causes you to like die. It was bananas. Anyways, and it was from Fox News. I was like, really? In a group of black people, you gonna post an article from Fox? But I digress. So it made me want to make this video about rejection and how we deal with it and how I deal with it, honestly, because rejection is something that I've dealt with a lot in my life. A lot, a whole lot. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I got made fun of a lot when I was a kid for being ugly. People talked about me all the time. Actually, even on into my adulthood, really. I didn't really bloom until my late 20s. And even then, I've like never been that girl that like everybody wanted to get with and stuff. That's just never been me. To the point where like if I like get with some or like try to get with somebody or like ask them out and they're like, oh yeah, I like you. I'm like, oh, okay, well that's cool. Like, you know what I mean? Thank you for, your consideration. They're like, wait a minute. Like I told you I liked you. And I'm like, oh, like, because I just assume that I'm going to be rejected because that's just generally my experience. And it's a hard thing to deal with. It's uncomfortable. It is painful, especially if you really, really like the person. It's super fucking painful. And sometimes it's really, really hard to deal with. And a lot of people don't really respond to it well. And so I wanted to talk about dealing with rejection, especially in the context of polyamory, because more instances for dealing with rejection. And as we're building our polyamorous relationships, a lot of it is you having to kind of put yourself out there, shoot your shot, tell somebody that you like them. And that can be a super scary experience. For me, rejection is just not scary, or not as scary as it used to be. Number one, because like I said, I've dealt with it a lot, so I'm just kind of desensitized to it. But also, it's just an emotion. So I'm just not afraid of feeling emotions. And so I wanted to talk about like some of the ways that I deal with rejection in my own life, or some of the mindsets that I've had to adopt in order to deal with rejection, just because I figured it would be useful information. Because a lot of people out here acting like, rejection is something to be considered with all these like horrible ass behaviors that they do because they were feeling rejected. And I'm like, nah, you can deal with rejection, and you can deal with rejection in a way that is healthy and kind to yourself and kind to the person who's rejecting you. So I wanted to get into it. So firstly, and I wrote some things down. Normally, I don't really like script these, but I want to make sure that I don't forget anything. So my initial response to rejection was indignation. So I always tell people that I'm super fucking vain. So like when somebody like rejected me, like I literally would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like I'm like, you make poor life choices because I'm the shit. And honestly, it was really about my ego, that person not affirming to me how I feel about myself. And I've had to learn how to like not see it that way, especially within the context of my own relationships, because initially my girlfriend that I have now, sort of like rejected me. I didn't outright like ask her out, but she didn't like want to have anything to do with me in that way initially. And I had to kind of not have that indignation response because I still had to have a relationship with her. So I've like moved past that a little bit, not entirely, because I still kind of feel that way. I still feel like, what? Like I'm fucking amazing. What the hell is wrong with you? But I did develop some thoughts on how to deal with it. So, firstly, I express my feelings about liking a person just to be authentic with them and to let them know that I like them. I don't tell somebody that I like them because I'm expecting them to give me a certain kind of relationship. I just tell somebody that I like them because it's just something that I want them to know. So I go into it with that mindset. I'm like, I'm going to tell this person how I feel about them, and I'm only doing this because I want them to know how I feel about them. Regardless of what their response is, I make sure that I don't attach myself to their answer. If I know that I'm going to be attached to their answer, I do not tell them. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't tell my girlfriend for a long time. I never really told her that I liked her because I was too attached to her answer because I liked her so much that I was just way too attached to her answer. So when I go or approach someone or tell them like, hey, I like you, it's just to tell them, hey, I like you. And I'm not saying that I don't ask them out or ask them, if we can have something, but I go into it with the mindset of I'm just doing this because I want them to know how I feel. And regardless of what their response is, I'm going to be at peace because I was just being authentic. I recognize that it doesn't make the other person a bad person and it doesn't make me a bad person. So because somebody doesn't see me in this way, it doesn't make me a loser or it doesn't mean I'm any less attractive or any less desirable. I'm just not attractive and desirable to them. And it doesn't make them a bad person for not liking me in that way. And I think we kind of feel that way. It's like, okay, well, we either say, well, that person's a bad person because they didn't want me, or I'm a bad person because they didn't want me. And neither of those things are true. This is the big one for me. When I approach somebody and they reject me, they immediately become someone that I don't want. And that sounds like strange, but it's true. Because ultimately, at my core, is what I want is someone who wants me back. I don't want that specific individual. I mean, on the surface, I want that specific individual. But ultimately, what I want at my core is someone that wants me the same way that I want them. So once somebody indicates that that's not who they are, they immediately become someone that I do not want at my core. And I try to keep that in mind. So once somebody says, okay, Vita, I'm just not feeling you, I'm like, okay, well then you're not somebody that ultimately I'm feeling because I want somebody that wants me. Everybody wants somebody that wants them. I am not entitled to any sort of relationship or interaction with anybody. Nobody owes me a romantic relationship. Nobody owes me a friendship. Nobody even owes me really cordiality. No one owes me anything. I don't believe that people owe me stuff just because I want it from them. So I keep that in mind. So I don't go into these interactions with people with a sense of entitlement. You have to give me this kind of relationship. Like, no, they don't. Like, you know what I mean? They really don't. And so I try to keep that in mind. This is actually a cool little analogy that I came with. I kind of liken people to like music artists. So everybody's a music artist. Some people are Beyoncé's, Katy Perry's, I don't know, somebody else. They can fill up stadiums full of people, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of fans. And then some music artists, you'll be lucky if you get 6 people to come to a coffee shop and hear you play. But those 6 people will be at every coffee shop that you play at because they love you so much. You have those faithful few fans. And so for me, I try to focus on, instead of like focusing on the fans that I don't have and the seats that aren't filled up in my stadium, I'm just going to love the fans that I do have. The people that are, at that coffee shop playing for me. I've never been a thousands and thousands and thousands of people artist ever. Like, that's never been my experience, but I just choose to focus on the people that do affirm, my picture, or they do affirm me in that way rather than focusing on all the people that don't. So once somebody just is not one of my fans, I'm like, okay, well, you're not a fan of mine. I'm just going to move on and find another fan. Like, that's kind of how I see it. What else did I jot down? I think we need to move away from the notion that our ability to attract romantic desire and sexual desire and romantic attraction is like a metric for our self-worth. Our society is very heavily invested in that idea that, the more people that want you and the more people that are attracted to you, the more you're worth. And that's just not true. Some people will never be, and I've heard this thing, where people say like, okay, well, if you have a hard time like establishing these kinds of relationships with people, step your game up, develop yourself, get better clothes. Like, I've heard a lot of different things, go get a haircut. I don't fucking know. I've heard a lot of different things that people say about that. And I mean, while that can be partially true, and I do believe that we need to mold and shape ourselves to have the life experiences that we want to have, I mean, the reality is there are some people that they can subscribe to every GQ magazine, every, Maxim magazine. They could read all the dating books. They could be personally developed out the ass, and they're still just not going to have that experience. That's not who they are. I think we need to move ourselves away from the metric that, our ability to attract romantic desire and love is a metric for like our personal self-worth, because it's not. It has nothing to do with our self-worth. And also to kind of remember that, hang on, the universe doesn't owe us anything. Like, it doesn't owe us sex. It doesn't owe us romance. It doesn't owe us relationships. Like, the universe does not owe us anything. And just because somebody is not able to realize that for themselves doesn't mean that they can't have a fulfilling life. And I actually had to kind of confront this within myself because of my son. My son has special needs. And I don't know that he'll ever have a girlfriend. And I mean, I'm going to do like a video where I'll kind of let you guys know like what my life is actually like, so you can kind of know where I come from when I'm talking about certain things. But my son has special needs. And while I think I'm just over exaggerating, because he's a pretty normal kid for the most part, I've had to like kind of confront, well, what if he never has a girlfriend? What if this is just never an experience for him that he has? And I remember feeling really, really sad about his life because he wouldn't, thinking that he wouldn't have that experience. And I didn't like that. I felt that way because I wouldn't want him feeling that way about his life if he never had that experience. And how can I like teach him how to not feel that way for himself if I feel that way about his life? And so I had to kind of confront this notion that, having a romantic experience is like the like peak or one of the like epitome experience of life. I mean, yeah, it's a good one and I'm appreciative for it. But just because someone never realizes that for themselves doesn't mean that they can't have a fulfilling life. And so that's like all of the thoughts that I had on it. And I probably will do a separate video on the whole nice guy thing because it was such an interesting conversation, let me tell you. But anyways, rejection is not the end of the world. It can be dealt with. You can get to a point to where it just doesn't scare you anymore, because it doesn't scare me anymore. If I like somebody, I have no problem telling them. I will tell people in a heartbeat. I'd be like, oh, by the way, did you know I like you? Or I'm attracted to you? You know what I mean? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. I do that all the time. Because it doesn't scare me, because the person can say, oh, well, I don't feel that way about you. And I mean, yeah, it smarts a little bit, but then I go and I lick my wounds and I move on. I mean, it really is, that's really how it's become for me. But that took time of just dealing with it and just developing the tools to meet it when I feel it. So anyways, I hope that was helpful. I'm going to go now because this video is like 12 minutes long. And I try to keep these at 10 minutes, but I talk a lot. So not really sure what the next video is going to be, but hopefully I'll have a new video up soon. Kisses to you guys. Happy hump day. Get your humping on. And I'll talk to you later. Bye. I don't know how to stop this either, so I'm not sure what to do here. Aw, shit. Is this it? How do I stop this? Oh, God. Uh-oh. See? Techno boob. Hopefully this works. I do not know how to stop this thing. Oh, damn. Yes. Okay, end. Got it. Bye.